you kind of settle into life so far anyway? It's all been a bit hectic since we've been able to sit down with you.
It's been hectic, to be fair. Like, it just seems that game after game after game. But no, other than that, like, you know, it's good to be finally in, settled into the club, and, you know, really enjoying it. Obviously missed a lot of sort of football over the summer. Was doing a lot of work with my friend Big John Gibson and Tony Curran, who have got their own sort of goalkeeping academy. So I was doing stuff with them and keep myself ticking over. But, you know, it's one of those that once you come into a club, it goes to that next level. You know, working with Craigie and Cheesy every day, it's, you know, you need to be at the top of your game every day. So still currently try to get myself up to that sort of level where I'm feeling, you know, right within myself. And I think I've only done maybe 15 or 16 training sessions, although I've been in, what would that be, over a month now probably. So it's just been difficult in terms of, as I say, with the amount of games to try and get that, you know, number of sessions up. But other than that, it's been great.
Was it quite nice to have that wee period after you left St Johnstone where you were doing work with the goalkeeping academy and stuff? Was it a nice break before you came back into the madness of club football?
Yeah, it was. Obviously I had to get married in the summer as well, so it was one name that I married and then away on honeymoon. So it was probably the first time in my career where, you know, I've actually been able to go away and sort of enjoy the sun, so to speak. So, you know, coming back after that, it was, you know, we took the decision to sort of stick it out and play the long game. So Mrs. she was all in for it at the start, but then I think as the weeks and months started rolling on, she, you know, started to get a bit more frustrated. But listen, it was always, you know, there was always that risk that it could go the full distance, and I was mentally prepared for it. And as I say, doing the stuff with the academy and stuff, it was good to keep that sort of base level of fitness up, so that, you know, if I hadn't have done that and come in here, you know, I would have been 3-4 months behind on where everybody is, compared to where I'm at now. So it was enjoyable. You know, the first sort of 3 or 4 weeks I thought, geez, this is a life. But then after that, you know, there's only so much cleaning that I can do in the house. I'm sure my missus will vouch for that. But I stuck to that plan, to be fair. That was probably going to be one of my options if I never get it sorted, was starting up my own cleaning business for the hussies. Became a pro at it. But no, as I say, just delighted that I've managed to get in. You know, massive club, great group of boys, and, you know, a club that's, you know, playing at the highest level. So delighted.
So you touched on it earlier. You've got what a cracking group of boys to work with Craigie, Cheesy, and obviously Gal's kind of overseeing the whole thing as goalkeeping coach. Even just being around the office, even we can see that it must be quite a good laugh, eh? Like,
yeah, no, it is. It's a great laugh. It's, you know, I was fortunate enough like that I knew a few of the boys before I'd come in, but it's one of those change rooms that, you know, if you're coming in and you don't know MD, it's easy to sit onto. Boys are all great. Say Cheesy, Craigie, Gal, you know, it's a good group. And a good one to be a part of. You know, the standards are always high and wanting to push each other, which is great. You know, as a goalkeeper, that's sometimes, you know, that's your role, is to go and try and bring the best out in your sort of teammate. And I feel that we all sort of do that at the minute, so it's a good environment to be a part of.
It must be quite odd for you after such a long spell at St Johnstone, a lot of happy memories there, to come in and join Hearts, a club that you came up against many times in your time at St Johnstone. You know, what's that like, making that sort of transition from an environment which you knew so well in Perth to come in here? And obviously you said it's a good group of boys, but it must be still quite a significant change.
Yeah, no, obviously it's 13 years at St Johnstone, so, you know, even just driving knowing you're waking up in the morning and going to training and driving the completely opposite way was a bit strange. You know, still getting in the car in the mornings, to even when I was during the summer doing the training on my own, you know, you jump in the car and, you know, the Apple CarPlay comes up and tells you how long it's going to take you to get to Perth and stuff. Even the car was used to just making that journey. It was like autopilot. So no, it was different. But like I say, coming in here, it's been easy to come in and settle in. As I say, I was fortunate enough that I knew quite a lot of the boys, and having played against the other ones as well, you speak to them after games on the pitch and whatever. So I feel that I've come in and settled in well. And as I say, really enjoying it, and just need to try and get myself, back up to the sort of levels that I was at in terms of sharpness and fitness. But as I say, and considering, like I touched on earlier, for how many training sessions I've done from where I was when I came in to now, it's a massive difference. So hopefully I can keep that sort of progression going, and start to be involved more sooner.
I remember when you first joined that first day, you talked about how goalies are always such a tight-knit group. And what is it, do you think, about the sort of the bond between goalkeepers that, because goalkeepers, especially maybe more than outfield players, they always seem to have such good connections with each other and good, strong kind of bonds?
Yeah, I think everybody always says we're a different breed, and probably that's how that we spend most of our time together, because nobody else wants to sort of join in that group. But no, I think it's just because it's usually a much smaller group. There's only the three of us plus Gal, who sort of work. Obviously, Stonesy's been in a couple of times with us, so it's a sort of tight knit group. You spend a lot of time with each other, and then once you go into the group training, it's more sort of spread out. Whether you're doing like shape or whatever, you're not close knit, personal with each other. So no, as I say, it's great to be a part of it with the boys, and as I say, it's probably that reason, and that is a smaller group, and you spend a lot of time with each other, and like I touched on earlier as well, it's you need to try and bring the best out in each other. As a goalkeeper, that only one person can play, so you always want to be right at your best, and encouraging the other goalies around about you to try and, like I say, bring out the best in each other and fight for a place.
Taking a brief aside from the football for a minute, how's the coffee going then?
Magnificent, to be fair. It's must have felt under P that the cameras were on, because it's the best one I've had today. But nah, like that, even like that, it's good that you've got places like this that you can just come and chill after training and grab a coffee, and like that. We've got the darts room and stuff in the stair that I've managed to wangle my way in there. Probably produced my best performance on my first day, so that's managed to get me up the rankings pretty sharp. So hopefully it's not a one-hit wonder.
We hear a lot of noises coming out that darts room. I imagine it gets quite competitive in there.
It does. It gets very competitive. There's a couple of folk that play the mind games. Gary Mackay-Stevens. I always try and just sit on the back of your shoulder, chopping away in your ear. But I always tell them that you let the darts do the talking. But they do. My first day, there was only a few of us played, and then next day, the room was packed, and that's when the pressure does start. To be fair, the boys are getting uptight. It certainly brings it a competitive edge.
Well, talked a little bit about the dressing room, and it sounds like a great group of boys, as you've touched upon. But imagine the next step now is you've been around Tynecastle. You've come to Tynecastle as the away club, and now it's just a matter of time before you make your Hearts debut in front of the fans. What's it like when you've got the prospect of making your debut at a stadium that you've been to as an away club, and you had some fantastic results at Tynecastle over the years with St Johnstone as well? So what's it going to be like being on sort of like the other side of the divide, as it were? It's like,
yeah, it'll be different, but like that, it's another game of football. I've always treat games as it's going to make you to do your best, regardless of where it is and who it is. So no, definitely looking forward to it. It's, as I say, need to try and get the sharpness and stuff back up to where I know I can be at. Don't feel too far away from it, but when that time comes, it's something that really looking forward to. Say that to people that when you speak to them, I think if you ask anybody that's played in Scotland, their favourite away trip, it would always be Tynecastle. A high percentage of it would be. So to have the prospect of flipping that and that being behind you as opposed to being against you is something that, really looking forward to.